Right now, the National Weather Desk storm threat. Millions face a risk of severe weather today, one day after storms left their mark on several states. A tornado outbreak in parts of Texas leads to demand for storm shelters.
You're good until this happens, and then you think, man, I wish I would have done that.
We'll look back at a super tornado outbreak of 2011 and how meteorologists stayed on the air all day helping save lives in Alabama.
Look at that. Goodness gracious. This will be a day that will go down in state history.
You'll see the different tools meteorologists use to track tornadoes.
That's going to help to indicate a very strong area of rotation.
How the angle of the sun impacts your risk of sunburn.
And this is when you could get a sunburn quickly.
And we're off to school to learn about how rainbows form.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Severe storms are once again threatening a large portion of the nation today. More than 70 million Americans are facing some level of risk. The threat stretches from Texas to New England. The Storm Prediction Center issued a level 3 out of 5 risk for the areas in orange, including Columbus, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and also Louisville. Areas in yellow are a 2 out of 5 risk, including Detroit, Oklahoma City, and Nashville. We are talking about strong winds, large hail, and also the possibility of a few tornadoes. The threat continues tomorrow. The greatest risk stretches from Texas to Arkansas, including the Dallas region. A lower risk extends from Texas to the Ohio River Valley. Severe storms moved across the upper plains last night. A viewer captured the Supercell as it moved through southwestern Iowa. We have no reports of significant damage in Iowa. There is damage to farms and also homes in southern Minnesota, where there was at least one reported tornado south of Minneapolis. Earlier in the day, hail fell across Green Bay, Wisconsin. The pea to marble-sized hail fell during the morning, hours before the main line of storms moved across that region. It all melted by the afternoon. There were no reports of any property damage. Several tornadoes struck the Texas Panhandle over the past few days. That led to a surge in demand for storm shelters. Drew Powell reports from Amarillo.
On Friday night, it was a very close call for a number of residents of Randall County who live in Canyon.
I think that everybody should definitely look into one, because these are brand new build brick homes, and you can see all the damage and everything. And I mean, we were hiding in the bathroom and stuff like that. It makes you wonder, is that going to be safe enough?
Right now, an order is taking 3 to 4 weeks, by the time you order it until we install it. It's kind of feast or famine. Wintertime, you don't sell many shelters, so you kind of have to plan for that. But we build a lot of inventory in the wintertime, typically. So, yeah, it just depends on the supply and demand, pretty much.
You're good until this happens, and then you think, man, I wish I would have done that. Canyon would have been devastated had it been any worse than this. And these houses would have been gone, completely gone. So you definitely need to have some kind of shelter in place.
Last weekend marked 14 years since the so-called super outbreak struck the South. It was the largest, costliest, and one of the deadliest tornado outbreaks in U.S. history. From April 25th to the 28th of 2011, more than 200 tornadoes happened in 5 southern states. The deadliest day was April 27th, when 122 tornadoes killed 319 people. More than 250 of those lives lost were in Alabama. Birmingham meteorologist James Spann was on the air for 10 straight hours, warning people about these storms. Many credit his tireless work with saving countless lives. Here's just a small sample of what that day was like.
Everybody in the Birmingham Metro should be in a safe place right now. I know you're trying to get your kids ready for school. Don't worry about that. If the principal gets mad, tell him to call me. You need to be in a small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows until this line of severe storms passes.
This is a life-threatening emergency in Cullman County, northeast of downtown Cullman for about the next 20 minutes. A tornado is on the ground. We know it's on the ground. We see it. Please take cover immediately.
And again, you can see the debris. What happens, the radar beam will bounce off of these, the shrapnel, if you will. That's called a debris ball. But in this case, we don't need a radar, you're looking at it live. And again, remember, I stress, just because you see this thing changing in structure, it's still down. You're going to see it looking different from time to time, and there could be a time where it lifts temporarily, but clearly we have debris right down here that is on the ground. And again, this is going to be very close to the Skycam site. So let's pull that thing out just a little bit, Jason, and you can see how.
Just for perspective, James, that tower on the right-hand side of the screen, that's the Channel 52
that's First
tower.
Baptist Church.
That's First
Right.
Baptist Church Coleman. So
Right,
it is
let's pan
passing
to the right.
over the courthouse right now.
The Coleman County Courthouse sits across the street from First Baptist Church, and that is a low-power TV transmitter in Coleman. And again, this thing is coming right through the middle of downtown Coleman. So we are now calling a tornado emergency for Tuscaloosa and Northport. This might track a little north of the city of Tuscaloosa, but I sure can't guarantee that. It's way, way, way too close. So at this point, we are asking that everybody in Tuscaloosa and Northport, based on that live stream, to be in a safe place. Small room, lowest floor near the center, away from windows. This includes the campus of the University of Alabama, as we are now looking at a large, violent wedge tornado that is near the Tuscaloosa-Greene County line. Look at that. Goodness gracious. This will be a day that will go down in state history. And all you can do is pray for those people. This is an extremely violent situation. Notice the power flashes. Please.
It just passed the Tuscaloosa County or the Tuscaloosa City Police Department.
The police department is down there. Downtown Birmingham and points north. Please, please, please stay in a safe place. Don't try and take pictures of this. Don't even think about it. We want you to just stay put.
We have neighborhoods that have basically been removed from the map. We have businesses that will no longer be able to engage in commerce. And we've got thousands upon thousands of citizens who have lost all of their possessions.
It was awful. It was the most scared I've ever been in my life.
Hearing people yelling for help and not being able to do anything because you're the person that needs help too.
We felt the pressurization, heard all the windows implode, and then the next thing we knew, everything was flying around and falling in on us. I knew I had a lot of debris on top of me, and I didn't know if I could get out, but I was sort of crumpled up almost in a squatting position, and I couldn't move my legs at first, but that was just because of the debris.
After that terrible day, the National Weather Service says it improved its operations for helping communities prepare for natural disasters. Not only did its ability to issue more timely tornado warnings improve, but also how it relays that information in better ways. A wildfire continues to rage in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So far, more than 2,700 acres have burned. And as of Monday night, the fire was 42% contained. Firefighters have been battling the flames since the fire started last Wednesday. And as Gracie Ruffalo found out, making sure the crews are rested and healthy is becoming a major concern.
This department was the initial crew to respond to the wildfire, and we've been rotating crews out there about every 12 hours since the onset on Wednesday.
Firefighters have been working day and night to contain the wildfires at Michaud State Forest, and that includes the Vigilant Hose Company in Shippensburg. The organization is made up of entirely volunteers.
Our crews are constantly leaving home or they're leaving work to respond to these emergencies. So the mental toll that it takes and the physical toll it takes is one thing, but then you also have to deal with the fact that you're leaving your jobs, you're leaving your family for long hours, and sometimes maybe even days at a time.
The Department of Conservation and Natural Resources recognized how taxing tackling this massive wildfire is for crews.
They're getting tired. And this has been a stressful event for them.
But crews say they're doing what they can to keep everyone safe and prevent exhaustion.
That exhaustion and whatnot kicks in really quick whenever you're walking up and down a mountain a few times. We wanted to make sure that they were going to be able to come down and get rehabbed and get rest, so that way we could limit any potential like heat injuries, anything like that.
Although this days-long wildfire has been keeping fire crews busy, they say they'll continue to be ready for anything.
We're always ready for the next emergency, and we're always ready for whatever may come our way.
Wildfires are also burning in Arizona. The so-called Stronghold fire started yesterday morning near Tucson and within hours burned 2,000 acres. As of last night, it was 0% contained. Several neighborhoods have been evacuated as strong winds fuel those flames. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, it's been 7 months since Hurricane Helene devastated portions of North Carolina. We'll look at why some areas are still struggling with cleanup efforts and we'll help you better understand how meteorologists use weather radar to track tornadoes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A great way to start the day with a display of crepuscular rays from South Carolina. These beams are most visible at sunrise and sunset when the sun shines between gaps in clouds or other things. Particles of dust, moisture, and pollutants also scatter the light into beams. And now a Pacific Northwest sunset on a recent sunny, cold, and windy evening on Oregon's Cannon Beach.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Well, it's been 9 months since Hurricane Helene devastated portions of North Carolina, but cleanup efforts in the state are still ongoing. Karen Zakalak shows us why removing debris from local waterways is such a challenge.
In between the rocks and rapids of the French Broad River, signs of Helene still sit in the water. Piles of pipes that Mountain True says their crews have been working tirelessly to clear out.
These plastic pipes that were coiled up have come loose and they're intertwined into our log jams. It's a pretty big environmental disaster that we're picking up one piece at a time right now.
Mountain True says most of the pipes came from IPEX, formerly Silverline Plastics, which sits on Riverside Drive. They say their crews have removed thousands of feet by hand, then have to haul it off by boat, one load at a time. Meanwhile, downed trees cover places like Huff Island, also on the French Broad, with mounds of trash, pipes, tires, and other hazards as well. For months, the Army Corps of Engineers has been working one waterway at a time, using heavy machinery to get out the big stuff, while these paid crews, along with volunteers, are trying to clear out everything else.
We are at it until the last bag of trash comes off these rivers.
So far, Mountain True says they've removed nearly 300,000 pounds of trash by hand, like these piles of tires and bins of twisted metal. It's work that began back in November here in this stretch with Blue Heron Whitewater.
We've had a lot of runs. We've been out there a lot, gotten to see the river a lot, and it looks incredibly different, you know, for anybody who's spent a lot of time here, but the actual rapids are largely the same.
Co-owner Fritz Johnson says it's hard, but it's important, not just for the health of the river, but also for the business that flows through it.
I mean, we're optimistic, but it is a little bit of a guess at this point, but we're definitely optimistic.
These crews hope others will realize that portions of the French Broad like this one are safe and back open to enjoy this summer.
It may be a while before you see summer-like temperatures where you live, but it's still important to apply sunscreen when spending time outdoors. Meteorologist Jenna Warren says the sun's angle is something to consider.
Actually, in April, we have the same chance to get a sunburn outside as we do in August, and that's all due to the sun's angle. It's more direct. So in December, that's with the winter solstice, that's the lowest sun angle in the northern hemisphere, so you're less likely to get a sunburn. You'll need to be outside for a long period of time because the sunlight is not as direct and it's reflected off of other things. It's indirect. For June, though, this is when our sun's angle is the highest. It's the most direct sunlight, and this is when you could get a sunburn quickly because of the direct sun angle. So we're heading up to June. The sun's angle is increasing from now into June, and then it will drop after the summer solstice. While thinking about sunburns, the sun could burn you in 10 minutes with extreme UVs expected May, June, and July on average. So from March, April, August, and September, still 20 minutes right now if you're outside. This is why it's a good idea when it's a sunny day, there's not a lot of clouds in the sky, or even when there are clouds, it's a good idea to always be applying sunscreen. And you can still get burned even when the UV is between 6 and 7 or in the medium category or the low category too. So it's a good idea to always be aware of the sun and how direct it is at the time of year.
You may wonder how meteorologists can spot a tornado when analyzing a weather radar and its array of colors. Meteorologist Darren Lees explains how different things help pinpoint the location of tornadoes and their damage.
So let's start with storm velocity. We've got reds, we've got greens, we've got a mixture of colors kind of in between. The big takeaway is green is moving everything towards a radar site. Red is everything moving away from a radar site. And typically right in the middle where you can kind of see some of those other colors beginning to mix in, that's going to help to indicate a very strong area of rotation within that storm system. So this right here, likely a pretty good indicator that we have very strong rotation and we could possibly be picking up on a tornado within that thunderstorm itself. We also like to use correlation coefficient, which is a fancy word for debris detection. So you see a lot of red kind of across the board with this image, and that's typically because it's picking up on a lot of precipitation within those storms. Now, raindrops are typically the same size and shape, so those have a very low correlation, and that is what we would be picking up on with these shades of red, dark red, maroon, what have you. Now, things with higher correlation, like tree branches, dirt, debris, household debris. If we have seen some of those winds kind of rip off shingles or siding from homes, that's going to have a higher correlation. So that's when we're going to start to pick up on some of these areas in dark blue. And that would likely tell us we could be possibly looking at a debris ball within that storm system. But if we get some of that higher correlation mixing also with those areas of rotation, likely a pretty good indicator of where exactly that tornado may be positioned at.
Even though Maine has seen recent rainfall, that moisture may not eliminate wildfire risk. Portland, Maine meteorologist Christian Bridges explains why.
While it may feel like we've seen plenty of precipitation in Maine over the last several weeks, we have never truly gotten out of the drought that we entered this past fall. You can see we still have moderate drought conditions in place in far southern Maine from the Portland area southwards through the New Hampshire seacoast, with abnormally dry conditions from mid-coast Maine through the Lewiston area and west towards Freiburg as well. And as we look at the progression of the drought in our state since last fall, you can see at the peak, the drought covered most of Maine back in December. But since then, we have made a solid dent in those dry conditions. You can see that the drought area has been whittled down to just that small area in far southern Maine. But again, we haven't been able to completely eliminate the drought. The stats back this up too. Since September 1st of last year, we are running a deficit of nearly 6 inches of rain in the Portland area, and we're nearly at an 8-inch rainfall deficit in Augusta, even though Augusta is not technically in a drought. In fact, 8 of the past 12 months have seen below normal precipitation, and we've already seen some brush fires in Maine, as you can see from this image down in Wells from the past weekend of a brush fire burning along I-95.
And as we go to break, views of lower falls along the Genesee River in Rochester, New York.
The National Weather Desk.
Oftentimes after a rainstorm, you will see rainbows, but how exactly do they form? Let's find out. Let's turn to meteorologist Riley Blackwell.
So it all comes down to light refraction. Light slows down and bends as it enters a raindrop and splits at a critical angle. Red and violet lights exit the raindrop from different angles, and as they exit the raindrop from different angles, you can see a plethora of colors with a red light on top and the violet or purple light on bottom. Now, in terms of viewing a rainbow, because everybody likes to see a rainbow, where is the best place to be? Best place to be to see a rainbow. The sun needs to be at your back, face away from the sun, and look at an area where it's raining, or there might be clouds overhead, or there might be a little bit of drizzle. That way, you have the best chance to see a rainbow form. And of course, if you see a rainbow, be sure to send it to us.
And we love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.